So, hello, I'm Steelfur of Steelfur Speaks, and this is my Steelfur Scouts segment where I talk about TCGs that aren't fab, and don't really talk about what's happening in the market beyond just the TCGs that I cover more regularly. Today, we're here to talk about Star Wars Unlimited, the new Star Wars focused TCG from Fantasy Flight Games, who are owned by Asmodee, are owned by Embracer Group, and the list goes on and on. This is an interesting TCG because, of course, Fantasy Flight Games have had the Star Wars TCG license for quite a long time, as well as the games license. And while the miniatures games license has been moved mostly, I think, to Atomic Mass Group, which is another part of the Asmodee franchise, the board game license and card game license is still with Fantasy Flight Games. And as people who've watched this channel will know for a while, I have a very mixed history with Fantasy Flight Games. And by that, I mean I have gotten lots and lots of fun from their games. I've played Netrunner. I played a bit of Game of Thrones version 1 and version 2. I played Legend of the Five Rings, was the origin of this channel, for 5 or 6 years. And really, I say that's been good and bad. I've had a lot of fun. The communities that have sprung up around those games have been fantastic. And to be fair, the tournament and OP scene has usually been vibrant and fun with those games as well. What has not been fun consistently across all the games is the design quality over a long period of time and the the lifespan of the games, though that's partly attributed to the LCG model. TCGs are more resilient. For those who aren't familiar, so LCGs release in boosters, not in randomized boosters, in set boosters of cards. So in a year, you might get 9 or 10 set boosters of cards. You're going to buy one of those packs, and you're going to get 3 copies of every card in that pack. And that's kind of like their mini expansions, kind of like a board game. The real problem is that once you've been playing the game for any amount of time, trying to get anyone else into the game, because they rotate a lot slower, means they have to buy a lot of packs. So that's kind of what Fantasy Flight have been famous for in the past, is this living card game model. The original Star Wars card game came out that way, as well as the Legend of the Five Rings card game, Netrunner, and a Game of Thrones. But they have gone away from it more in recent years, just because they understand the difficulty with new player retention, adoption, and those kind of things, which is why we saw Keyforge come out, which is a randomized deck game, which is quite innovative if you haven't seen it. And of course, we've seen the latest Star Wars proposition coming out as a TCG. Now, part of the reason that this is a TCG and not a board game or an LCG might be because I imagine the Star Wars license has quite a big servicing fee associated with it, or quite a big margin percentage they have to pay to Disney on the sales. So they might just need that TCG money to keep the license going, but it's hard to say. But that's my history with FFG. And generally, I would say that it is I wouldn't say they have trust from me. So I'm just trying to explain my bias before we talk about this latest game. I wouldn't say that they have trust from me when it comes to a few areas. Firstly, the area, of course, of maintaining card games and keeping them alive. I feel like FFG is very quick to pull the plug after, a few blips, rather than, say, maintaining and just trying to get through the dip. And I would say that when that dip happens, especially after year 3 or 4 or 5, they are very likely to cancel the game, right? So, the longevity and the support, I do not think that FFG have earned that potential from and trust from their consumers. And I think it's going to take a lot of work for them to change people's minds on that, especially mine. Now, why do I say that, and why is that important in context? Is obviously we're talking about TCGs as a collectible cards system. We're talking about these hyperspace variants that are going for hundreds of pounds. And you may enjoy looking at them in the future, but there is obviously the question of how much are they going to be worth as a long-term collectible, which drives a lot of the value inherent in the cards. And I would say that my appetite for buying the extra shiny versions, which, I have in games like Flesh and Blood, for example. I have my full art Stavro right here, and I have Marvel Heroes and things like that I've spent more money on when the playable version is only £2, is because those games have earned my trust that they will have a long lifespan, and therefore my investment is at least somewhat going to pay off, right? Whereas I genuinely don't believe that with FFG games, and I don't believe it yet. So, I'm much more reluctant to buy a lot of product or to buy anything like that. The second thing where FFG, I think, needs to regain trust from a lot of the people who've played their games in the past is design consistency and design, like, sort of consistency over a long period of time. What has happened a lot with FFG games, and what we always used to say about them, is that they're very good at designing games because they're good at making board games, but they're not very good at designing card games. Kind of this ongoing maintenance. And for quite a few of their games, we've seen like the design team be stripped down quite rapidly after the initial launch. So they're good talent. They're really good talent. There's lots of names that crop up on a lot of these games. Comes in and designs the base game, and then leaves because their skill is in designing the base game. And then the maintenance team is often where things start to fall apart. It's either too small, which means that one designer designs things and doesn't really want to call them out when they make a mistake, or it's just, you know, people who don't have the resources because they're also maintaining multiple games and therefore cannot you know, maintain things to the. So I think those are the two things that I'm looking at when I'm looking at Star Wars Unlimited, from my wariness, from my experience with FFG. That doesn't mean, and I keep saying this to people who are like, so does that mean I shouldn't play Star Wars? And it's like, well, no, if you like the game and you like Star Wars, this is a Star Wars TCG. It's going to have the art, the characters, the backstory, and FFG makes good games, and this is a reasonably good game, right? We'll get into the mechanics and everything in a minute, but this is a reasonably good game. If the things align for you and you like it and people around you are playing it, there's nothing wrong with playing this game. Do I think that you should be spending, you know, loads on accruing all these hyperspace variants kind of things? And if I ever hear a sentence like, "Oh yeah, this is my new forever game" or something like that, no. Okay, I don't believe that for a second. My experience with FFG thinks maybe you'll get 3 or 4 years out of it, maybe longer if it's going like really well, if it's a breakout success. If you're happy with that, that is not an inconsiderable amount of time, right? The idea that you should be able to play a game forever is a bit of a laughable notion anyway. We don't expect it from video games. It's not really fair to expect it from card games and other mediums. So as long as you're just going in eyes wide open on that, I don't, you know, think you should perfectly enjoy this game. I think it's a good game to play. And I think it really does capture a lot of the things about Star Wars with the ground and the space lane. So then let's just talk about the game just briefly, and then I'm going to go and open this box. The game is really easy to understand if you've played any other TCGs. You basically just draw extra cards, and then those cards get, you know, you draw 2 cards a turn, and you can put one of those in a resource row where it just acts like a land from Magic the Gathering. So you tap it for 1 resource. So you're getting 1 resource a turn, but I think you start with 2. So it's kind of skips that first turn slow period. And then you're just going to ramp or not ramp, depending on what your deck is trying to do. And basically, if you're attacking through a lane, you can either attack your opponent's base to deal damage to them directly, or you can attack their units. And, you know, units enter ready, and there's a space lane and a ground lane. So certain units can either go into certain ways. And you have instants and stuff like that. It's going to be a very familiar game to anyone who's played Magic the Gathering. I would say the main differences are this sort of face down cards are resources rather than lands. And of course, you have this space and ground lane. And other than that, I think the rules are very, very simple and approachable for anyone who's played TCG. So I don't really want to dive into them too much. The game does have some interesting complexity in terms of, you know, the 2 different lanes. A lot of the abilities, stuff like Sentinel and Shield and things like that, will be familiar to anyone who's played Hearthstone. You know, they just stop you attacking bases, or they protect units. Some units get plus bonus while attacking, that kind of thing. There is a decent amount of nuance in the game. It's definitely learned lessons from other TCGs in terms of design. So I think, you know, it doesn't feel immature from a TCG design perspective. It seems like it's taken a lot of learnings in terms of solving the challenges that have been learned over the last 25 years in terms of resource management and card design. It feels like a lot of the ability designs are nuanced. It feels like the balance is quite good. So all in all, I'm actually quite positive about the game itself, right? For a first set, it seems like it's got some interesting abilities, a bit of depth, and some decent balance, right? And I think that's all we can say about it. Get in, try it yourself. I would fully recommend it. I wanted to talk about FFG a bit just because that's the sort of thing that, you know, I think about when I think about a new game. You really do have to come in with trust from the company as well. Anyway, we're going to open a box now, and this should be a bit fun. So let's do that, and we'll see if we pull anything good. All right, so we have 2 products in front of us now. We've got the 2-player starter, which I bought primarily just to have a look at it, have tokens, and also, you know, it does have some exclusive cards, which I don't really like. I've kind of said this across many games, but like exclusive cards in a starter product is just a big ick for me. You know, players should not have to buy your starter product to get cards if they're embedded in the game or if they've bought enough other products. It's just not a good decision, right? You know, and I'll blast any game that does it. I'm not really afraid to do that. You know, like the idea that I'm releasing a starter product, but I put in like a £35 card, so my existing players are forced to buy it or buy 3 of it, which happened in Fab 2 years ago. You know, it's just grim. I've been playing, you know, if I've been playing a card game for 5 years, I shouldn't be buying starter products. They're not for me. And I really don't think they should be baited or created in a way. So I don't like the fact that this has unique cards. And I mean, I think Luke is unique, and R2D2 and some other like really cool cards like Luke's lightsaber and stuff like that are unique. There is like a list of them, and I think they're really good cards. So I wanted to buy this starter deck to get them, but that annoys me. I did it because it's good to have tokens and it's good to have a play mat, and it's good to have stuff. But it's not really what I wanted to be doing. I just wanted to buy the cards I needed, which, to be fair, I have done. But I figured I may as well get those starter deck cards as well. So this is a box. Design seems good. Design seems modern. We blasted Lorcana for not having shrink wrap or like protection features. But I mean, if FFG had produced a product without shrink wrap and protection features, I would have been a lot more harsh. I mean, this is Ravensburger's first product, so you know they do get, you know, Lorcana was like Ravensburger's first product, so they do get a bit of leeway. But the fact this is coming out from FFG means that obviously we have to hold them to a higher standard because this is not their first TCG. And we see some good things straight from the outset. The pack art is great, box design's great, shrink wrap. They also have paper packs. Now, I don't know if it's paper packs globally, but they are using paper packs in the boxes that I've got, which is really good. Okay, we have a first pack legendary. This is the Grand Inquisitor. Nope. Sorry about this. I actually paused the video, so I think I might have missed a few hits that I'm going to show off there. So my rares out of the last 2 packs were Seventh Sister and Regional Governor, both quite good hits. I got 3 foils, so I got an Emperor's Legion, which is a rare, and a Hyperspace foil, a Zeba Radius, which is a Hyperspace foil uncommon, just a foil Open Fire, which actually came out of the pack a little bit damaged. If you can see, this corner is a bit bent, which is a bit unfortunate. But those are good foils, so we're kind of happy with that. We've got lots of packs left to go. Common Chewbacca. Chewbacca being a common is just rude, to be honest. There's nothing about Chewbacca that screams common. Let's just keep flipping and we'll see if we get a Hyperspace. So uncommons, we have General Veers, Inferno 4, which is quite good, a nice Greedo, and a Jabba the Hutt. Oh, he's going to be good. I think Jabba the Hutt is quite a good card. His ability reads, he's a 4-cost. His ability reads, each trick played costs 1 less. And when played, you search your deck, the top 8 cards of your deck, for a trick card, reveal it, draw it, and put it on top of your deck. And he's a 2/8, so he can stay in play for quite a long time, while also kind of fueling your trick engine, just by having that ability to scry for them. And then the foil is an uncommon, sort of non-hyperspace, Power of the Dark Side, still quite a very good card. An opponent chooses a unit they control, beat that unit, which obviously if you're playing late game and everyone has really expensive units, so you've killed all their small ones with someone like Palpatine, you know, things get quite good. Right, so commanders, this thing, we have Tarkin. I really like Tarkin. He just gives an experience token to an Imperial unit, which obviously can make them a little bit bigger. And then every time you attack, you can do that again. Then we have Command Center on the Death Star, which is just super cool. It's kind of a thing, like even when I played the old Star Wars TCG, my favorite faction wasn't really light or dark. It was the Imperial Navy. I find the like I've always done this, and even in Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO, I played a trooper because I found it so much cooler to play, you know, just that trooper, that non-force unit in a force-based universe, and working through that lens of what it feels like to be, you know, just a regular soldier being surrounded by all of this space wizardry. Kind of like the Han Solo perspective on the universe of It's all just wizardry and mumbo jumbo, but how does it get me to where I'm going, you know? Okay. So, Bright Hope, Fifth Brother, Yoda. So this Yoda, the uncommon one, restore 2. So when you attack, he heals 2 from the base. And when defeated, you choose any number of players, they all draw a card. So it's really cool that way. The rare is Smoke and Cinders, which is each player discards all but 2 cards from their hand, which is really cool. And then we have a Hyperspace Patrolling V-Wing, which is just a really popular card because when you play it, you draw a card. Again, some scuffing around the corners, so that's not necessarily great. Kind of some of these cards are coming out a bit damaged, which is not ideal for a new, like, fresh out of the box TCG. And I know the box I got was a little dinged, but that really shouldn't go through to the packs. Just wanted to redo the camera angle there, so I'm not reaching as far to show you the hits. Obviously, I can put all my rares here so you can see them. Still only 1 legendary so far, but that's okay. There's usually 4 in a box. And obviously we want to hit some of the good ones. But I feel like the legendary leaders are quite good. Oh, is that not a legendary at all, actually? Grand Inquisitor is actually just a rare. I thought it was a legendary. But here we have a Hyperspace Grand Inquisitor. That means that he's borderless. So that's kind of a fun pull if that leader becomes good. Then we have a pile of commons. Commons. Those don't even need to be anywhere. Put these in the back. Commons, uncommons, hyperspace on the left. Missing a hyperspace. Okay, so let's get back to it. Seasoned Shore Trooper, Distant Patrol Craft, Open Fire. Just going to flick through those until we see anything. The uncommons, we have the TIE Advanced, which I think is really cool because it gives out experience tokens. We have Bosk, who's actually very good. And we have an Admiral Akbar. This is the 3-cost Admiral Akbar, so he's got Restore 1, so when you attack, you heal 1 from the base. And when played, you may deal damage to a unit equals the number of units you control in the arena. So very much a swarm-focused card to help you sort of build and maintain board presence. And then we have a Restored Arc 170 foil, which is just a 2 for 2/3 with Restore 1, which is kind of good if your goal is to get to late game, because you'll be healing your base while you do. Okay. So the rare in this pack is the Emperor Palpatine leader. Super exciting. Action 1, defeat a friendly unit, deal 1 damage to another unit, and draw a card. So you can kind of eat your own sort of aristocrat style from Magic. And then, of course, he comes into play with 8 resources. When deployed, take control of a damaged non-leader unit. On attack, you may defeat another friendly unit. If you do, deal 1 damage and draw a card. So he kind of eats his own people to get abilities, but he's still quite a cool leader. Then we have a Hyperspace Cloud City, which could be useful. I mean, it's just a common that enables the yellow, but a lot of people will want hyperspaces for their deck. We have Mercenary Company, Sword Arc 50, Liberator Skill, Battlefield Marine, Rebel Pathfinder, Shower Scavenger. Maximum Firepower, which I quite like. A Hyperspace Waylaid. Waylaid's quite a good card. It's just 3, return a non-leader unit to the hand, but if that unit costs more than 3, then obviously you're doing well for yourself. We have a Hardpoint Heavy Blaster. We have a Rallying Cry. The Force is with me. The Force is with me. I am with the Force. The Force is with me. And then we have Wolf. Wolf is a 2/3/2 Saboteur, so he can ignore Sentinel and defeat shield. And when he's played or on attack, bases can't be healed this phase. So if you put him in against a deck with lots of Restore, he turns off a lot of their abilities. And then we have a foil Super Laser Technician. When it's defeated, it goes into your resource row. So this is, again, really good for ramp decks on the Imperial side, because it lets them get free resources when it gets destroyed, while also giving you some board control fairly early on. You might play that in the Palpatine deck. You eat it with Palpatine's ability. You draw a card, and then you get your abilities. So the leader in this pack, just Boba Fett common. and Capital City, just in there. Katina, Braggart, X-Wing, Wampa, Super Laser Technician, Psalm, Viper Prove Droid, a Hyperspace Resilient, be quite good, an Outmaneuver, a General Taj, a Zeborelios, a Bombing Run. Now, Bombing Run, quite a good card again. You know, choose an arena, ground, or space. You deal 3 damage to each unit in that arena. So this is kind of like a 5-cost board wipe if your opponent is trying to rush you. So it's quite good in control decks. So, for example, if you're playing a red control deck into, you know, a more aggressive deck and you have this is going to help keep you alive. I think that's quite good. And then our common foil, True Strike. Strike True Tactic. 3, a friendly unit deals damage equal to its power to another enemy unit. This is great control as well, right? If you have a strong unit in play, like someone like Palpatine, for example, and you play Strike True, you can just eat another unit that has less than just wrong with Palpatine 4 damage. But obviously, there's going to be units that have much more damage on them, like, for example, a Star Destroyer, where suddenly you're going to do that. So Leia Organa for the hit, not the hit, for the leader. Chopper base for the area. I do quite like, and I've kind of said this before, they have, let me show you. So, like, you have options even within the same color for where you want your heroes to come from, right? So we saw already, if we flick back into collection, where was it? Cloud City, I think. Oh, was that a hyperspace? I think it was. So my point is, right, so you've got Administrator's Tower in Cloud City. Now, these are functionally the same. They both have a yellow icon. They both have 30 life. The main difference is just preference, right? It's just where do I want my deck to be from? I don't want my deck that is, you know, based around the Rebels to be having Cloud City as their base. I want it to come from that. I think that's just a nice piece of theme to include for people as an option. So uncommons: Outmaneuver, Admiral Piet, Fighters for Freedom, and then a rare, which is Fallen Lightsaber. This is really cool. So it's a dark side and precision card. The red, I think, is called Precision. Attached to a non-vehicle unit. If attached unit is a force unit, it gains on attack, deal 1 damage to each ground unit. Defending player controls. I mean, this is a really great sweeper for low power rush decks, and also turning on something like Palpatine, who checks on our opponent's damage characters. So this is really cool. It's a really nice rare. And then we get an uncommon foil. The Force is with me. 4 cost, choose a friendly unit, give it 2 experience tokens. They just give +1/+1. If you control a Force unit, you also give a shield token, and then you can attack with it. So this is really good efficiency. Give a unit +2/+2, and then also give it a shield, and then also attack with it. I mean, that's massive action efficiency. I'm sure that's going to be a really popular card moving forward. So we have another Tarkin. We have another Administrator's Tower. Cloud City with guards, escort skiff, bounty hunter, restock, swoop racer. Then for uncommons, we have Protector. We have uncommon Chewbacca. This isn't the leader. This is the which is a 5-cost Sentinel. When he's attacked, you ready him, which is cool. Plan for takeoff. The rare is General Krell. This is another guy from. No, this is from Clone Wars, isn't it? This is the leader who really mistreated his clones and like tried to sacrifice them. And everyone liked him because he was winning, but the clones obviously hated him because he was losing. Interesting to note. So this is a double blue green pip card. So to play him, you'd have to run a green leader and a green location, or he would cost 7, which means he's kind of like highly specialized into green. I haven't really seen any decks that are really rewarding specialization. Often it's quite good to have a breadth of abilities, so you want to use 3 different types to access the best cards from 3 colors. But I think this is going to become more and more important, is just the specialization into 2 of one color and the power that comes with that. He's a 5/4, and he just says each other friendly unit gains when defeated, you may draw a card. So this is very much echoing Krell's strategy from the Clone Wars, where he would sacrifice his own units to draw cards to gain abilities. One thing you'll note about playing this game is that, like, the flavor is quite intense in terms of the abilities of heroes have to match how it works. And this, I understand from like talking to Fantasy Flight Games in the past, is like Disney's marketing team and the Disney like team is heavily involved in making sure the abilities of characters match their in-universe theme. That's why you see Palpatine doing mind control and dealing small amounts of damage with his lightning, and why you see people like General Krall letting you draw a card when your other units are defeated. Foil is Regional Governor. That's a really good rare foil to get. I'm actually really excited about that because I'm probably going to end up playing it. I think Regional Governor is really good. I think that one will be definitely in demand. She's just such a powerful control tool because unless your opponent focuses on killing her, she stays on the board. Then we have Dagobah Swamp, Hyperspace. Not going to complain about that. I think Dagobah is going to be a really popular location. People quite like the original trilogy, of course. So, Jedha Agitator, Snowspeeder, Resilient, Asteroid Sanctuary, Snow. Ooh, another Hyperspace. Syndicate Lackeys is 5 for 4 with Ambush, so I think it comes into play ready. Power Failure, Power of the Dark Side, General Dordona. Oh, hello. So people who know me wouldn't find this too surprising, but what I want to do in this game is play big ships. I appreciate that the game is probably also fought on the ground, but if I had a choice, I would just build a deck that was like big ships deck. So whenever I open one of these capital ships, I just think it's fantastic. And unfortunately, that would mean I have to play like Imperial, but that's okay because they have the best Star Destroyers. So this is Chimera, flagship of the 7th Fleet. It's obviously villain aligned with a yellow token. Costs 8 for an 8/7. It's shielded, so it ignores, I think, the first unit of damage that it takes. On attack, name a card, reveal your opponent's hand, and discard a card with that. So this is the flagship of Admiral Thrawn, who I think is also in this set, and it kind of reflects that. So if you know what your opponent has in their hand, which is very much like Thrawn being big-brained, then you can force them to discard it, which is really cool. So I'm really happy about that. Outer Rim Headhunter is just a really good common. It's a 2 for 1/3, but with raid. If you control your leader, you can exhaust a non-leader when you attack with it, which is kind of a powerful ability, right? Action economy is really powerful in terms of more cards coming out of the pack, Ben. I don't think it's how I'm opening the packs, though. So Chewbacca, Dagobah Swamp, but not Hyperspace this time. Alliance X-Wings, Repair, Snowtroopers, cool. Bounty Hunter Crew, Devotion, Bamboozle. Ooh, a rare Hyperspace Tarkin Town. So this is the red version of comes with an ability, deal 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit, which I think is epic. So you can use it once per game. Then we have another rare, so it's a double rare pack with Chopper. Chopper is obviously from Rebels. Really fun droid character from Rebels. While you contain another Spectre unit, he gains raid 1, so there's a bit of Spectre synergy. Discard a card from the defending player's deck if it exhausts. This is quite a good card. I'm happy to get that in rare. And then I have my Disarm, which is slightly bent. I need to I don't think I'm opening the packs wrong. I mean, this is how you open paper packs. I think some of these are just coming out slightly damaged, fortunately. So leaders Leia, Command Center, Death Star Stormtrooper, Regional Sympathizers, Confiscate, Outer Rim Headhunter. Okay, first Bib Fortuna. Bib Fortuna is like a pretty funny character in terms of very minor character in Return of the Jedi, but then obviously becomes more relevant in the book of Boba Fett when he's still kicking around. He just makes sure events cost 1 less, so he's pretty cool in yellow. Mon Mothma, I really like Mon Mothma in terms of like the person who brought the rebellion together and kept them together. She's a really important character. It Binds All Things is the rare. Heal up to 3 damage from a unit you control. If you control a force unit, you may deal that much damage to another unit. So it's 2 damage, 3 damage healed plus 3 damage dealt, which is really strong. And then we have a regular foil distant patroller. When it's defeated, you give a shield to a blue unit. So that's pretty cool as well. Still some good hits. I think a lot of these rares seem to be quite strong in terms of like abilities. Like heal 3 and deal 3 is very strong. Sabine Wren, really good. Echo Base. Steadfast Battalion. Really good cards. I mean, on commons, we have Steadfast Reinforcement Walker. Really nice. 8 cost, 6/9. Look at the top card of your deck. Either draw or discard it and heal 3 damage from your base. Is quite strong. Power Failure, destroy upgrades. AT&T Suppressor, another big unit. We really like the big units. 8/8/8. When played, exhaust all ground units. Really nice. The rare then is I Had No Choice. This is very much Lando vibes. The villain card. 7 costs, so you know it's going to be good because it's an event if it costs 7. Choose up to 2 non-leader units. An opponent chooses one of those units. Return that unit to its owner's hand and put the other on the bottom or top of its owner's deck. This bounces 2 cards, and one of them goes to the top or the bottom. Oh, sorry, and the other one goes to the bottom. So that means that if you target like 2 really expensive units, this just becomes amazing removal. And yes, they'll keep the best one, but sometimes that doesn't matter because you're picking 2 options. The foil's just resilient, common. It's quite good, but not amazing. Nothing to write home about. Still no legendary, I don't think, unless it looks the same as a rare. Ooh, I got Thrawn. Right, I really like the idea of Thrawn. I don't know if he's any good. But basically, at the start of the action phase, you can look at the top part of your opponent's deck and yours. You can spend 1, reveal the top card of the deck, exhaust a unit that costs the same or less as the revealed card. So you look at both the cards, and then you can exhaust a unit. And then on attack, he basically does the same ability. I think Thrawn is really cool. He's also a rare, so he gets to go in the rare pile. Opening a rare like leader and rares in the same pack feels really good. So it's kind of good that they decided not to like be like, well, if you open a rare leader, you can't open anything else. You know, it's kind of good to have both. Hyperspace Katina Braga. I don't think that's going to be particularly useful. Shoot First, Rebel Assault, Bendu. Okay, Bendu's a weird character from like Clone Wars, where he, you know, he's kind of like good and dark. He kind of exists like on a very force powerful planet, basically by himself, and he's like I'm not light or dark. I'm just grey, and don't lump me in with all of your weird like Sith and Jedi bollocks. So that's kind of reflected in his ability. The next non-light, non-dark card you play costs 2 less. So he kind of rewards you for not playing light and dark cards, which I think is really cool. Ooh, okay. This is a win. So my first legendary is the Avenger, which is actually quite an in-demand card. I'll explain why it's in demand in a second. I'm just curious. Let me check. Let me look up the price there. I'm on just on Card Market. Let's look up the price. So Avenger Hunting Star Destroyer. Now it's not hyperspace. It is just regular foil, but still foiled. So let's have a look at what the foil is going for. Extra quality foil filter. Okay, so it's only going for £8. So the hyperspace one is clearly where the value goes, but this is already like a £7 or £8 legendary, which is quite good. It's probably going to get better as well as like more cards let you ramp towards it. But so far, this is like 9 cost. And when you play and anytime you attack, your opponent has to choose a non-leader unit they control and defeat it. So it's kind of removing a unit every time it attacks and when it's played. And obviously, if you're this late game, your opponent isn't necessarily going to have like a huge wide board to deal with you, right? So it's very likely that if you get to this point, you know, your opponent's not going to have all these little units to sacrifice, and they're going to be forced to kill some big stuff when you play it. So that's why it's so strong. But that's my first legendary, and it's quite good. I think I am light on legendaries so far, but hopefully the last packs will start to kick things up. I think you are supposed to get roughly 4 per box. Green Squadron A-Wing, Hyperspace Foil, the Ghost, which is, of course, the Spectra ship, which is really cool. Wedge Antilles, it's a pretty good rare. And then Underworld Thug as a common. Boba Fett, Kestro City, Guerrilla Attack Pod, a Hyperspace Viper Probe Droid, which is quite a good card. When you play it, you look at your opponent's hand so you can see what they're going to do. Admiral Ozell, sounds good to me. Ooh, another legendary. This one is Force Lightning. Force Lightning is a 1-cost legendary. Choose a unit. It loses all abilities for this phase. Then if you control a Force unit, pay any number of resources until 2 damage to the chosen unit for each resource paid. This is potentially some of the best removal in the game, which is why it's legendary. So that's actually quite a good hit. I'm very sure that Force Lightning is going to be a very popular card. It's just so flexible and also like just enables so much, right? Yeah, and it's already selling for a $5. So legendaries, like some of them sell for 20. Most seem like they're selling for a $5, which is good. I mean, they don't need to be super valuable. It does mean that like you're not getting a lot of value from opening this box, but that's okay. Thrawn, another copy of Thrawn as a rare. Fighters for Freedom, Devotion, Bamboozle. Oh, the rare is Fett's Fire Spray. That's actually quite a good rare to get. Boba Fett is proving to be like one of the most popular leaders, so Fett's Fire Spray is actually quite like desirable as a card. If you control Boba or Jango Fett, you ready it when you play it. So for 6 cost, if you've got Boba Fett in play, you can ready this as a 5/6. And then action, pay 2, exhaust a non-unique unit. So not only can it control your opponent's board, but also it comes in as a ready 5/6, which can just eat something. So it's really good. And then just a common partisan instant. Okay, so to start us off, we have a Hyperspace Boba Fett. That's good. I mean, he's quite popular. Occupy a Siege Tank. Some good cards, some cool cards. And commons, 97th Legion, +1/+1 for each resource you control, so really good ramp card. Starwing Scout, if you have the initiative when it's blown up, you draw 2 cards, that's really good. Kanan Jarrus, also like key character from Rebel, which I quite liked. We discard 1 card from the defending player's deck for each friendly Spectre unit. Deal 1 damage from your base for each different aspect among the discarded cards. So this is a mill card that heals you and discards your opponent. That's really cool. Then we have Search Your Feelings. Search your deck for a card and draw it. So it's a tutor card that costs 4. That's pretty cool. And then the foil is a Rogue Squadron Skirmisher. It's a pretty good card. Pretty good foil. Pretty good foil. There are 2 legendaries so far, so I'm hoping for another 2. Hopefully they will be good. We have Hera Syndulla coming out as our rare leader. It's a Spectre leader. I think there's probably a Spectre deck out there somewhere. There's a lot of synergy in the Spectre card, so it would be amount to anything, but maybe it just won't be in this set. It'll be the next set. Attack Pattern Delta, Force Throw, Rebel Assault, Super Laser Blast. Now, this is definitely a hit as well. This is kind of like the maximum control card, right? So, you know, if you want to clear the board, this just says 8, destroy all units. But of course, if you're playing this, you're probably going to be in a position where destroying all units is quite a good thing for you. So again, it's another £5 legendary, but it's kind of like good to get because a lot of people are going to want that card, right? Especially as the meta sort of develops a bit more. Okay, we're up to 3 legendaries now, so we're expecting 1 more. And hopefully we get like one of the hits like Vader or Boba Fett. But even if we don't, I think we're doing well. We have Jyn Erso, another fan favorite of mine. Like, I mean, I adore the actress who played her. I think she's fantastic. I think her films are fantastic. I know some people don't like her acting, but I mean, she's in the theory of everything. She thinks she's good. And I really liked Rogue One as well as kind of like the best Star Wars film that came out in that period, including all 3 of the new trilogy, which were just kind of atrocious writing. Like, I'm sorry, they look good, but they really should have just had one writer writing the whole thing. Anyway, attack with a unit. The defender gets -1 for this attack. So it's a very simple ability, but it's kind of fun because when you use it, you know, your opponent gets -1, so you can really trade up. And then her 6 cost coming in as a 4/7, when a friendly unit's attacking defender always gets -1 is actually really cool. So it kind of like protects your guys even when they're attacking. Then we have hyperspace chopper base. That's kind of cool. Hyperspace on the locations is going to be, I think, reasonably in demand. AT&T suppressor, again, more big units I really like. Shoot first, classic memes. Attack with a unit, gets +1 for this attack and deals its combat damage before the defender. This is a really good card because, again, it just lets you trade up, right? If I've got a 2/2 and you've got a 2/2, or sorry, you've got a 2/3, I play this, I kill your guy, right? This is a really powerful card, so I think that's quite strong. Then we have that. Then we have red 3. Red 3 is really good in the red. It's got raid 1s, which makes it a 3/3, and it gives all of your friendly light units raid 1 as well. So it's just really effective and efficient. And then a foil 5th brother. So red 3 is quite good. I think I already have 3 red 3. Okay. So another Jinner. So Fleet Lieutenant, Tactical Advantage, some other bits and pieces in the commons. We're not really going through. Smuggling Compartment, we haven't seen that yet. Attached to a unit, vehicle unit, attached unit gains on attack, ready a resource. That's really strong. Blizzard AT&T, haven't seen that yet either. When this unit attacks and defeats a unit, you may deal excess damage from this unit to an enemy ground user. It kind of stomps something else on its way. That's really cool. And this was the smuggling cache. Then we have Sabine Wren, the one you can play in your deck. She's really good, actually. If there's 3 aspects of another friendly units, this unit can't be attacked, so she's kind of immortal. And then on attack, you deal 1 damage to a defender or a base. So if you've got 3 pips on your table, she can't be attacked, and she's immortal, which is pretty strong. And we have a Tarkin Town, which is the rare location with an epic action. We have a foil gorilla attack pod. It's a decent card. Will it be played much? We'll see. I think it's quite good. Its kind of power comes from the fact that if your opponent's base has 15 or more damage, or yours does, it comes into play ready. So it comes into play as a ready 4/6. Coming into play ready is actually huge in this game. Like, units do not traditionally come into play ready, but when they do, you kind of have this very strong effect. Imperial Interceptor. Vanguard Infantry Hyperspace. Ooh. Trenched Ezra. Okay, our first Ezra. Ooh, a Cartel Spacer Hyperspace. That's quite popular. When played, if you control another yellow unit, exhaust an enemy that costs 4 or less. So it's kind of like free exhaust, which is pretty good. It's kind of good for control. Change of Heart. Take control of a non-leader unit. At the start of the regroup phase, its owner gets it back. That's pretty strong. That is our other legendary. I don't think that's as popular, but it is kind of good to just take control of a really powerful unit, stop your opponent from using it. And then a Bounty Hunter crew for the foil. So those are 4 legendaries. You're probably going to get it. I don't think Change of Heart is as much of a hit. Let's have a bit of a look. Still being played, so still worth £4 or £5. Remember what we say, if you want to open boxes for the fun of opening boxes, do it. You are probably not going to get your value back opening new TCGs unless you get a hit or you open a lot of boxes. I've probably opened about £30 or £40 worth of cards in this box. Haven't gone anywhere near making my money back, let's put it that way. It does look like there is a cheeky hyperspace foil poking out at me from the bottom of this pack. So Green Squadron, E-Wing, Mercenary Company, Waylay, Confiscate, Force Choke. Force Choke is very good. TIE Advanced, Distant Patroller, all very good. Lando Calrissian, the fan favorite himself, 6 cost with Saboteur. When played, return 2 friendly resources to their owner's hand. So if you know what the resources are, you might get some benefit. And then a Vigilant Honor Guard, which is a common hyperspace foil. While it's undamaged, it gains Sentinel. It's a good ability. Will it see play? I don't know. Okay, so let's just review where we got to with foils. Hyperspace. That's kind of cool. Foil rares. So we ended up getting Emperor's Legion, Regional Governor as foils, foil rares. We got Disarm, Vigilant Honor Guard as patrolling Y-Wing as hyperspace and Power of the Dark Side, Open Fire and Zeb Aurelius as hyperspace foils. We got Scout Bite Pursuer, Cartel Spacer, just regular hyperspace cards. There's a few rares in here, actually. Tarkin Town is a rare. Yeah, that's pretty cool. A few rares. Lots of uncommons. And then in the rares pile, obviously Lando Calrissian, Tarkin Town, Red 3, Harrison Jeweler, Search Your Feelings, Fats Fire Spray, a hyperspace Grand Admiral Thrawn, which is kind of exciting. Wedge Antilles, Bendu, more Thrawn. I had no choice. All things Chopper, Chimera, Krell, Palpatine, Fallen Lightsaber, Bombing Run, Wolf, Admiral Akbar, Smoke and Cinder, Seventh Cinder, Regional Governor, Jabba the Hutt, Energy Conversion Lab, a Hyperspace Grand Inquisitor, another Grand Inquisitor, and a Hyperspace Cauldrons of Chimera. And then in the legendaries, we got a Rainbow Foil Avenger. We got Force Lightning, Super Laser Blast, and Change of Heart. Those are our... Then we just have the... I think is a bit of a mistake. I think starters should always come with a kind of exciting. But that's it. That's Star Wars Unlimited. I know this was an all right box. It could have been a lot better. Pull a Boba Fett or a Palpatine or Vader, but I was reasonably happy with the hits and index. That's it. Star Wars Unlimited. Pretty fun. Take a look. A big event in Twickenham myself. That. Yeah, I'm going to a big event in Twickenham myself in a few weeks' time, so I'm just building decks for that. Aside from that, that is the game. So if you're playing Star Wars, I will do some content on it. Main game, but if you do like content on the game, then and I'll see what I can put together for you.